I'm David Smoak. So, guys, again, Reggie Bush reinstated into the Heisman house. It'll be an interesting commercial when they do it. There is the Heisman Trophy with the reasoning and talking about basically, listen, what he got in trouble for back in the day. People have looked at it. Things have changed. We know that. We've brought up Johnny Football made a bunch of money. Reggie Bush, whoever else might have gotten paid.
According to Pete Thamel, Johnny Football's criticism had something to do with this maybe kind of moving along. And his explanation was they're an organization that's very traditional. They don't like a lot of criticism, and they want, to have a good image. And Johnny Football basically saying, well, I'm not going to show up until Reggie Bush does. Like, maybe they'd be like, well, at least maybe it'll be calmer here. But
I don't think Johnny was showing up all that often.
No,
anyway.
I don't think he was either, but that he wasn't going to support it. The problem with Johnny Football saying it is they have not taken Johnny Footballs away.
Right.
And he is admitted to doing all these things. So if he gets to keep his, even the NCAA didn't adjudicate it, and he's just out there doing documentaries going, yeah, I was sitting in hotel rooms signing autographs for thousands of dollars at a time. Well, that looks pretty hypocritical on them, especially just with the extra benefits issue being at the core of what Reggie Bush's Heisman was taken away from. This is really good news because it just gets out a thing that doesn't fit into modern college football and moves it on down the line.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to Reggie Bush and all of his teammates back then who I'm sure are thrilled for him, all his friends and family. I mean, I understand he's been on Big Noon Kickoff and things like that, but when I've thought about Reggie Bush over the last few years, I've thought about the guy who's like obsessed with the lack of a Heisman Trophy in his house. Like that's been his big fight ever since it was taken away. I understand why. He earned it, and yeah, the rules were different back then, but they are changed now, so I have no issue with the NCAA, or in this case, the Heisman Trust, deciding it's a new era. This would have totally been okay had it happened during this era. It's one of those things where rules are rules, but this is not like life or death. So I don't think it's that big of a deal if they decided to say, you know what, it is a different time, and looking back on it, that decision doesn't make as much sense as it did when it actually occurred, and the things that you were accused of were against the rules. So it's the end of a long saga for Reggie Bush in particular. I feel like I don't even know the guy, but I just feel like this makes him whole in some way because it was so obvious how much it bothered him that he didn't have it. I mean, every time you saw him, that's kind of what he was probably almost talking about always. And so I can't even begin to imagine how he's feeling today. And it does feel like the Heisman house is now complete, I guess, once again. And I'm sure that the advertisers will have a whale of a time getting him involved and having him interact with Johnny and various others. I wouldn't give just Johnny the bulk of the credit. I mean, he had the most recent comments, but several other Heisman winners have been outspoken about, the same thing of that they would have given him his trophy back at this point. But Johnny definitely added a little further momentum towards it with the recent comments. So however it got done, whatever clicked for the people in charge, I think they made an honest and good decision here, and so we can all move on from this, huge issue that was there these past few years with the Heisman.
One of the comments in the chat room was, I think the rules he broke were actually against the law at the time. They just had not yet been challenged in court yet. And I agree. That's why I put this up on Twitter just to be flippant, that all of my tickets from back in the day on the Department of Public Safety and DPS, et cetera, of doing over 55 or 65 or even 70 miles an hour. It's now in some cases 75. And a guy popped back to me in Oklahoma. This is like it's all different. I was just joking.
Well,
as
look,
known for what I do on the highway.
Here's where you're going to run into a problem. Most of your tickets are not for going 75, which is now the new season. So, like, your contention to be the same legally, and see this, and this I'm saying this as your lawyer here, is that you've committed a crime that is no longer a crime, but it is still illegal to go over 75, which is what most of your tickets are.
Yeah, I've had a couple
for.
of those, and I'm not real proud of them, but I did. I had a couple of them, including when I drove back the time we went and stuck ourselves in Midland, Odessa.
Here's the thing about that, and it's why I basically avoid Twitter. I just don't even want to interact with the confusion of it all. This isn't really a big deal.
No, it's not.
This is not life or death. So, like, yeah, I understand the point, and I understand those that even say I shouldn't have ever given it back. He cheated. He broke the rules. He broke the law, whatever you want to say. And I can see that side of it. And I was that way. When they decided we're not giving it back, I was, not planting my flag and saying this is the way it's got to be. But I thought, you know what? That's the way the rules were. If you don't give it back, I totally understand that. I know why it wouldn't be popular publicly, but I totally get that. And had they never given it back to him, would I have thought that's kind of screwed up? Maybe a little bit, but would it have, kept me up at night where I think it was some grave injustice? Absolutely not. But on the same token, they decide to give it back to him because it's just a different way of doing things now. Fine, great. I mean, he earned it on the field. Nobody's going to deny that. It's the off-the-field stuff. So, good for Reggie Bush. It's not like they're, unveiling the nuclear codes and handing them over to a foreign country or something. It's not life or death. It's just an award given for college football excellence. So, for him, I know it was much bigger than that. But, for all the bickering that could happen about whether they made the right decision or not, I mean, who cares? It's just an award, and he earned it on the field. So good for Reggie Bush, and we can move on now.
I reached out to Earl Campbell, who's a friend of the show, and he was down in Florida. He answered my call, and I asked him if he was available today to come on and discuss it, and he said, well, right now I'm actually with Reggie down in Florida. Now, I don't know if there's a Heisman group or whatever, probably an autograph signing or something. And if he does open up at some point about coming on today, we have room for him. But he was excited. Ty Detmer, who I had a chance, just a quick little hit with him. We're going to play that in just a moment, and his thoughts about it too. He was back in the 80s, remember, when he won his Heisman Trophy. So we'll hear from him in just 2 or 3 minutes. We'll have that in just a second.
I'm going to do this, and we're going to have to clip this, Emery, and send it off to make sure that when Nissan steals this excellent idea for the Heisman House, that I get credit for it.
All right.
So they should bring Reggie Bush back into the Heisman House, and his room's been like taped off or whatever. And they open the door, and it's kind of dusty and dark, and like the posters are all from stuff from that was popular in 2005, but it's not now.
Yeah.
So kind of like the what commercial is that for? The NBA commercial where they're all wearing the suits from the 90s?
Yeah, like that. Like, just open the door, and then, he's got a poster of a band that's not together anymore.
Old balata balls in golf,
Yeah,
the ones that weren't the core now,
Yeah,
the
like
hardcore. Yeah. That, and then I thought it was kind of funny. Here's Johnny Manziel, and then I get another reaction to that news from today. Here's Johnny Football saying, if you guys need anything from me today, I'll be watching 05 Reggie Bush highlights on repeat. But I saw there was some reaction to this. Well, great. Reggie Bush can grab the Heisman and give it to Vince Young because of after the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Just a little.
No, I mean, it's just having fun.
Yeah.
But, I definitely understand that sentiment. But that's one of those where, that's just going to be argued until the end of time. And there's no really right answer, in my opinion. I think you could have gone with Vince Young. But Vince Young, a lot of that thought, too, is also post-national championship. That award wasn't given out after he ran in for the touchdown against USC. It was given out weeks before that. So, I definitely understand that sentiment. I'll still argue till I'm blue in the face that Adrian Peterson should have won a Heisman Trophy as a freshman, but he didn't get it. And, he'll get it later on. Well, he never came close to winning it again. So everybody's probably got their bicker that they could have over some of the Heisman results. And certainly for Texas fans, it's understandable to think that Vince Young should have won the Heisman, but you also cannot argue against Reggie Bush winning the Heisman. That was just a great group of finalists. And, like I said, good for him. If this was, something more serious, then I'm sure there'd be some more hotly contested debate over it. But given the fact that it's an award and we're so many years removed, I think everybody can move along now and get on to the next, big travesty or big controversy when it comes to college football decisions.
So I reached out to Ty Detmer. He was going to be in meetings when we're on the air. Not a lengthy interview. This is about 3 minutes with him, a former Heisman winner, and here's that real quick conversation. Ty, your reaction to Reggie Bush in the Heisman?
Well, I think it's great. I think, with the way the game is today, it's totally different. I think, what he did on the field was definitely Heisman worthy. And then, some things came out after the fact. So it's always hard to go back and take things away from somebody that did some great things on the field that probably didn't have anything to do with, some of the financial things that were going on. So I think it's a great opportunity for him to be back in and to mend the fences and just kind of move ahead and move forward with how college football is today.
How much did former Heisman Trophy winners like you? I've been on the phone with Earl, traded a text or two with RG3 among others. How much were you all involved or had much to be a part of this decision?
I don't I don't think very involved. The trust is kind of their own entity, and they'll listen to the former winners, but they I know there's been some guys outspoken about it and have been pushing. I don't know how much went on behind the scenes with the members of the trust, but it sounds like some of it caught their attention, and they went ahead and reinstated him. So it's I think it's great and an opportunity for guys to speak out and share their beliefs and things like that. So I know, as of recently, Johnny Manziel really kind of pushed that out in social media, and probably more things going on that way than actual conversations with the trust.
So had you talked at all to Reggie or maybe well back in the day? Have you bumped into him, anything like that?
No, I've actually never met Reggie. I wasn't able to attend when he was named a Heisman winner. So, obviously kind of watched from a distance, but never had the opportunity to actually be around him or to meet him. So looking forward to that opportunity now.
How would you describe what you would see from him on tape, the highlight films? I've seen a lot of people put those up today.
Yeah, just super dynamic. I mean, you never knew what was going to happen when the ball hit his hands, and he and Leinart had a great connection and helped each other, become Heisman winners. But that guy was just one of the more dynamic players to play the game, and it showed, on the film, and couldn't deny that he wasn't, one of the best players that year to play.
Ty Detmer, former Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, on the Reggie Bush decision today with the Heisman Trust on 365 Sports. So that's Ty Detmer with his opinion. He's happy. Earl Campbell seemed to be thrilled when I had a chance. It was a very short conversation. So there we are with that. Reggie Bush, a highlight reel, and he will now be a part of the Heisman Trophy moving forward.
It just feels like